even the most, put together, confident person that you see in a room is still nervous. They're just maybe not showing it the way that you feel inside, right? We compare our, back door to everybody else's front door. And the difference is that we're all afraid. But the people who are showing up are the people who tell themselves, I can handle it. I am afraid and I can handle it. And I think that at the very root, the anatomy of fear is the fear that we won't be able to handle it. And so the more that you can show yourself, okay, yes, you were scared, but you could handle it. You're not ever going to say that I'm never scared again. It's literally proving to yourself that you can handle it and recognizing that everybody else is scared too.
Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. LaChelle Wieme, a peak performance coach and business strategist dedicated to helping you see what's possible within you, the blind spots that are holding you back, and the solutions to ensure success and fulfillment without the hustle. I use my secret sauce of metaphysics, brain science, and scripture to work with God to manifest your ideal life and business. If you're ready to create massive forward momentum in your business and bust through the blocks that drag you down, join me on the Spiral Up journey and create the clarity, confidence, and consistency to become the CEO that lives your life by design. It's time to create the sustainable impact, income, and time freedom you desire faster. Now is the time to spiral up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. LaChelle Wieme, and today I get a chance to chat with my fellow Minnesotan, Dianne Shelton. You guys, you are going to love her so much. She is a sales funnel strategist and the founder of Passion Breakthrough, and her mission is so on point for the way that I help people as well. So Dianne, I can't wait for us to dive into a little bit more about your business and how you help people. Why don't you just go ahead and tell us a little bit more about what it is that you do and how you show up in the world?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to dive in. But real quick, in terms of what I do, so I help mostly small business owners to kind of get their businesses launched in the online space and have their digital assets to actually work for them rather than just loose pieces out there.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I am curious because I know that you have transitioned from corporate America into entrepreneurial space. We're going to get into all of that stuff. But first, I want to know, what just made you decide that you wanted to get into sales funnels and all of the things that you do these days?
Well, it's actually a roundabout way that I ended up here because my background is in IT and computer science. Mm-hmm. And I think, to be honest, I got tech trauma. And looking back, I didn't realize it was burnt out, but that's what it was. So yeah. I created Passion Breakthrough because I'm like, I want to help everybody figure out what they want when they grow up and have a breakthrough and live happily ever after. But apparently, a lot of people don't necessarily know what it is for them in terms of what they want to be when they grow up. But my specialty is really that tech, so that when people want to live their, what you talk about, freedom-based lifestyle, then that is not holding them back.
100%. I mean, people do hear me say this all the time, that really what I do is I'm a butt buster, right? Like, you say you want this, but this is in the way, right? And so it's like, okay, well, what are the obstacles? What are the barriers? What are the excuses that are in the way? And tech is the thing that I hear all the time. I'm like, I'm not techie. I don't really know how to do all this stuff. And it really can hold somebody back from really pursuing the entrepreneurial journey because it's intimidating. And it sounds like you identified this barrier and you're like, well, heck, I have that background. Like, I can help you with that. And it really, honestly, just created this cool business that you have.
It really did, because again, I feel like we got to just follow what we are called to do, make that leap of faith. Yes. And we really get to experience all the things that, we are meant to do. And apparently people kept coming back to me anyway to do the techie stuff. I'm just like, you know what, I can do the business strategy, but then I specifically can help you in the online stuff as well.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I love that because so many times people come to me and they're like, LaChelle, I feel unfulfilled, but I really don't know what my calling is. And there are lots of different nuggets and breadcrumbs, I guess, that I tell people that can lead us into that space. And it sounds like you were able to follow some of those breadcrumbs. So why don't you tell us your backstory on your transition, I guess, from corporate America to the entrepreneurial space?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because, it's always so scary to start something. But when you feel called to do something, you kind of have to trust that like God, this is something God is calling me to do. When you lean in, it's always going to be better than what you expected anyway.
Yeah.
So being scared and excited at the same time, I just created a plan and then just making sure that everything is buttoned up. And then I just put in my notice. My boss was very surprised. They didn't want to let me continue to do what my calling is, but at the same time, they understood as well. So the rest is history. I really enjoy what I'm doing now.
Yeah. Okay. So let's break this down for people who are like, okay, that sounds great, but like, what do you mean? Like you're calling and like, how did you know? And what are the things that you got buttoned up in order to be able to make that transition? Like, let's break this down into a real life example, I guess, for people who are like, I want to know, like, how did you discover what lit you up and how did you actually make that transition?
Yeah, these are such great conversation because I feel like there's really no two journeys alike.
Yeah.
And so for me, like listening to podcasts like these on my way in and out of work, and then just kind of getting, like the fire lit up inside of me. I have so many notes. I would wake up in the middle of the night and it's just like, okay, like I know something is inside of my heart, and I just kind of had to lean in on that and then stay curious because, like if you really are meant to go down this path, like everything will align. Like the people you meet along the way, the conversations you're having with people will start to change a little bit, and then all the resources will just like trust it's going to come if that's what's supposed to be for you.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what happened to me. So, as you know, I had a full-time career in Minnesota here in anesthesia, and at the time, I was doing anesthesia half-time, and I was working as a professor in faculty for the nurse anesthesia program half-time, and I literally was living out my dream job. But this opportunity came to me to start an online business of all things skincare, which is hilarious to me. At the time, I wasn't even washing my face, but I started to recognize that there was something in it that was curious. And I was kind of like, see opportunities. I can see where people can make money. Like it's just something I do. I can see opportunities everywhere. And I'm like, well, why not take advantage of this? And I started to learn. And I found like all of a sudden there was something inside of me that like just started to come alive. Like there was like this new passion, this new curiosity, this new taste for personal development and sales and marketing and learning and growing and leading. And it was like the desire, the pull was there. And then what happened was because I was leaning into those desires, I started to recognize the breadcrumbs, just like you said, conversations, people. I would see somebody post something online, and all of a sudden they answered all of these little prayers where all of a sudden things started to come into focus. And whether I realized it at the beginning or not, it was like all of these pieces were literally laying out the pavement of the path that I was supposed to be on. Is that kind of similar to what happened to you too?
It is. There's actually I don't know who or where I heard this from, but something to do with somebody asked Mother Teresa to pray for clarity for them. And then she's like, I will not do that for you because I never had it. It's just a matter of, again, like that trust. And it's just like when we look back, it's easier to be like, oh, that makes sense.
Yes.
But as we push forward, because our comfort zone just kind of ends in the line, and then it's either you see a darker path or anything like that, but maybe you are called to be the light in that dark path. And so just finding joy in those kinds of stuff. And again, like I'm kind of getting a little teary eyed for how much it's really changed my life to just continue to lean in. And, it's not always going to be easy, but it's always going to be interesting. And you know that you're going to be meant for more.
Yeah. Okay. So let's dive into that a little bit, because one of the things that I want to do in this season of the Spiral Up podcast is to meet real people with real stories and to allow some authenticity and vulnerability to be brought into the conversation. I think that so often, Dianne, people, show up on Pinterest and LinkedIn and Instagram. They have all their shit together, right? Like everything is perfect. And it's like, no, like this has been hard. And there were lots of fears that I had to overcome. And there was lots of uncertainty and things that I had to learn about myself and the industry. So take us down that behind the scenes, behind closed doors experience that you had to go through when you made that transition from corporate to entrepreneurship.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I feel like every part of life, like every level that you up level to, you always have something to do. It never goes away, like the fears and they keep coming up. Yeah. So like even I moved from the Philippines to Minnesota, and that was scary. And then when I transitioned, I also got married, got divorced. That was also scary. It's just there's always something to be experienced
Mhm.
and that we take with us because it made us stronger. So when I started my business, I actually didn't want to be on LinkedIn because I felt like, oh my gosh, like all of my previous coworkers are going to judge me, all these different things. And so I leaned in Facebook a little bit, and that made me to be more comfortable. Like I remember the first time I went on camera, I literally shut it off within 2 seconds. And here we are, right? Like it's just a matter of continue to practice, continue to feel those emotions because that's part of it. Just kind of
Yes.
enjoy that as well. And then continue, if you feel called to doing that, then continue to lean in, practice, do it imperfectly, ask for support because other people have been down this path with you before. And what I also realize is that family love and support me, but they don't necessarily know exactly what I'm going through. So it was great to kind of find that community of other people
Yes.
that's also in this journey.
Oh my gosh, like so much of what you just said is like shouting from the rooftops here, guys. And so this is something that I talk about a lot is that as we spiral up, right? There isn't a destination. Like especially those of us who are really drawn to growth, and honestly, all of us have this law of perpetual growth built inside of our DNA, right? So it's just natural for us to want to continue to show ourselves what we're capable of. And as we continue to spiral up, it doesn't mean that we're never going to have that fear again. It doesn't mean that we're not going to bump up against old trauma bruises and old limiting beliefs that have happened in our past. The difference is, though, friends, is that as we continue to spiral up, we're just going to be able to navigate them better than the last time. I'm going to recognize them faster. I'm going to shift faster. I'm going to have new support. I'm going to have new tools that I didn't have before. But it doesn't mean that you'll never, ever experience that before. And I think that that's something that many people need to hear, that just because things are hard doesn't mean that you're not cut out for it, or doesn't mean that this isn't supposed to be your path. Because I get that a lot too. Like, how do I know I'm on the right path? Like, lean into that desire and let it lead you the right direction. But if it's not all rainbows and sunshine and unicorns, it doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. It just might mean that there's an adjustment that has to be made, or maybe you're just ready to lean up into the next level. And all of a sudden, all of those limiting beliefs are going to be like, no, stay down here with me. And you have to be able to navigate around that. And has that been your experience as well?
Yes, and it reminds me of like the pivot or persevere, and then there's that scene on Friends too, like pivot. But right, and it's just a matter of sometimes yes, we are called to pivot, we are called like to that next level, but sometimes it's also okay to either persevere and continue on the path you're in right now, or go back to the way you were in a slightly different way, right? Like we talked about like how I went from like having tech trauma because I was in IT for too long to now like leaning into that, and give yourself grace and permission to be like this is okay, this is my journey, I'm continuing to show up, to continue to do that
Yeah.
spiraling up for yourself no matter what the weeks and turns are going to be.
Absolutely. And something else that you mentioned is worth pausing around as well, is that, imperfect action and exposing yourself to things that are outside your comfort zone. Because the thing that I see over and over again, and you mentioned it when it came to LinkedIn, right? Like people have this double-edged sword of, hey, I want to be visible so I can grow my business, and holy crap, I don't want to be visible because that's scary and I don't want people to see me and judge me and reject me. And so we get stuck here, and then we don't do anything to grow, and we continue to sabotage ourselves. Like, I want this, but I don't want this, so I'm not going to do anything. And what I think is so important is to highlight what you said, is to take imperfect action and allow for us to stretch our comfort zone in our nervous system just enough to prove to ourselves that we didn't die, right? So like LinkedIn seemed like a really big stretch for you at the time. So you're like, okay, well, what can I do right now that feels safe enough? Right. And it's like there's a pull of like, oh, stretching my safety. And then there's like a growth edge that we oftentimes
Mhm.
bump up against. And so for you, it's like, okay, LinkedIn felt like too big of a growth edge, but safety was like, okay, I'm going to start in Facebook, and I'm going to continue to just push my nervous system a little bit at a time until I can prove to myself that I'm not going to spontaneously combust. Nobody is going to run away from me if they see me at the grocery store. My friends and family are going to still talk to me, and I'm going to be okay. And then I do the next little thing with imperfect action, and then all of a sudden here we are, right? Having a podcast conversation and meeting people from all over the world, right?
Yes, for sure. And I think the other part too is like when I know for myself, this is my experience, is like I was worried that I was going to quote unquote lose the connections I've built on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, like, as we spiral up, we have to realize it's okay to let it go. There's like a season to just let it be, and there's a season to just be open, because open hands means that you are going to be able to receive more. Other, if you're white knuckling everything, you have closed hands and you're just like always in a fight. So just want to keep that in mind too.
100%. Okay, so let's talk about just like shifting into your expertise and kind of the big buts, right? That I hear people say all the time is like, oh, like I'm too scared of tech and sales funnels and all of that stuff seems really overwhelming. What would you say, Dianne, has been one of the best, ways to help people to really start to embrace the things that we can actually use on the internet to help us grow our business?
Yeah, there's a few different things. Like the first thing is the fact that sometimes people like to know the facts, right? Like, and then so tracking how much money or time you'd actually save if some things are automated or things are not like having a leaky funnel, as I like to call it, because things are falling off your plates or it's not getting to the clients like you need to get in touch with them. So just kind of keeping that in mind, that there is, power to automating or even delegating to other individuals that might love this part. And so you're focused on your zone of genius so you can help your whoever needs your support today.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And you and I both love the concept, I guess, and the strategy around an all-in-one system. You and I both utilize this same technology that allows for us to have all of our business assets in one home, basically, and everything gets to talk to each other. And I think that, as a new business owner, I think I was intimidated by this program and that program, and then having to figure out how they're going to talk to each other. And one of the things that you've done is developed a system that allows things to work really seamless together. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So because of my tech background, I'm pretty tech agnostic. I've played with all of them because it's fun for me. But I know that, like when you feel like you're duct taping something, or if you feel like it's a spaghetti on the wall mess, and then now you have so many other things on your plate and also really expenses because they all cost money at the end of the day. So just kind of having something that is just like, okay, this is the one place I look for, like my CRM in terms of like the people that I'm talking with, my content, my website, social media, all the things. Having it housed on there, at least you can kind of see like almost like a task list of, okay, here's the things that needs to be done behind the scenes from an operational side of things.
Yes. And let's just say that somebody was like, oh my gosh, I'm listening to you and you're making it seem like it's possible, but it's still really intimidating for me. Are you able to help, essentially learn about somebody's business and help them to discover what kind of tech could possibly support them? And so do you help with the strategy and the execution? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So those are the two things that I love to do, because again, I feel like the way that I got called into doing this is because I was focusing on the strategy, and then I felt like people would go away. It's like, okay, thanks a lot, but it was a little bit too much. So now I pair it up a little bit. Some people just want to like have the strategy piece, try it out themselves for a little bit, or just be like, okay, I don't want to even know what it is. Here you go. Just do this and make sure it works well. So I feel like they all tie together because you need the information to be the CEO of your business and understand what's going on. And also like the implementation, because information is kind of wasteful if you don't actually do anything about it.
Yes, 100%. And so you're saying that you could help somebody actually execute, build, and teach them, or even run the things for them in the background if you needed to.
I actually have a team. So again, like being from the Philippines, I want to pay it forward. So I actually built a team that it also helps support me. So they're there. Like I have like different shifts. So 24/7 support for all my clients was the platform, so that if they feel like, okay, like I'm working at night because I still have my day job, they still will have this support and I don't have to lose sleep over it, because we're here to build freedom.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that so much. Okay. So let's kind of get back into really helping people feel safe and heard and supported when they look at business and it all kind of seems a little bit overwhelming. As a business owner in general, Dianne, what things would you love to share, or what wisdom would you like to impart to the people who are maybe struggling right now in their entrepreneurial journey?
You know, I feel like it's okay to give yourself permission that you did your best today,
Mhm.
and also to be vulnerable and to tell somebody that, like, you can trust that they won't go out there and shame you or anything for it.
Yeah.
And that has been so transformational in my life and business, is when I told somebody about one of my mentors. I'm like getting teary eyed about this, because it's just like almost a year ago I said I was burnt out of giving.
Mm,
And it's just one of the conversations I had. I just said
yeah.
it out and it felt so good. It felt so light. And also, that helped that individual to try to think of ways to help me, so that I can continue to show up as my best self. So
Yeah.
again, like, keep showing up as your best self and make sure you have support around you, because
Yeah.
those two things come in hand for your spiral up.
So tell us a little bit more about that, being kind of burnt out from overgiving, because I've been there. I would like to just know what your experience has been. Like, help us to, know, like, oh my gosh, that's what that was, and that's how she got past that. Tell us a little bit more about that.
There's two things. The first one is, like family, friends, those kinds of stuff. Sometimes it feels like it's more of an obligation than anything, that you can't say no. So giving yourself permission to be like, okay, is this really what I want? Because the other individual is going to feel that energy anyway. So if you want to create really a adult relationship, for the most part, is learn to know your boundaries, say
Yes.
yes and say no's, and let them mean what they're supposed to. The other side of it for me is, like, I didn't realize this, but I was plugging into rooms that are way too small, because I
Mm,
wanted to help everybody, right?
yeah.
Like, as individuals, it's just like we are we're such givers that we want to help everyone around us. But
Right.
if we're not ready, you can't pull them along. So you have to plug into the rooms that's going to 10x you giving, them giving, and then now we're all multiplying all the impact that we're supposed to have.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. There's a couple things that you said in there that I want to highlight. Number one is the boundary thing. That's really hard for a lot of people who are people pleasers and are brought up with the beliefs that we have to sacrifice ourselves for the service of other people. And one of the things that has been foundational for me is the reminder that I am responsible to you and I am responsible for me. And when I remember that, I can remind myself that I am not responsible for anyone else, for their successes, for their failures. I get to be responsible to them, to be kind, to be supportive, but also knowing that I am responsible for myself. And if I don't like the way that my life is turning out, I am responsible for that. And if they don't like the way that things are, they're responsible for that. And I think that as somebody who has discovered within myself that I was literally playing this puppet string belief in the background that I was responsible for other people's emotions and that I would twist myself into a pretzel to try to accommodate other people. And that's exhausting. And I think that this last year, 2025, the year of the snake, helped to bring that into my awareness. Like, okay, sister, no wonder everything feels so heavy, because you are literally avoiding conversations because you're afraid the other person's not going to be able to handle it. You're not doing this or you're doing that because you're afraid that they're not going to be able to handle it. And you're responsible to that. And it's amazing once you start to acknowledge that, how everything gets lighter. And then I get to serve people at the higher level because I am the best version of me, not the strung out, depleted person that I was, right? The other thing that you mentioned is something that I can absolutely relate to. There was a moment in my business really early on, actually, where I was putting myself into rooms, networking rooms that I felt like I should put myself into, right? And I had this insatiable thirst to just learn and grow, like, so fast. I was reading all the time, I was listening to podcasts, and I found that all of a sudden the rooms that I was in weren't engaged in as much personal development as I was. And all of a sudden, I was the one leading the conversations, and people weren't necessarily having the insightful discussions that I was longing for. And I realized that in with all humility, it's like, gosh, I really want to not be the smartest person in the room. And I say that without being snarky. It's like I want to be around people who are going to push me and pull me and show me and help me be inspired by this next level. And all the people that I was around are amazing people. We just were on different paths. And I think that there's so much power in surrounding yourself on purpose with iron sharpens iron people. And I actually did a post on this, a couple weeks ago regarding my retreat. It's like $11,000 is not the investment; it's the filter. It's like people who join this are meeting that filter of people who take themselves seriously and are wanting to level up and are wanting to make things happen. And so when you invest in that, you're also investing in the proximity and the relationships with other people who are also investing in themselves and taking themselves seriously. And when you start to see that happen, don't you notice that growth just happens so fast? It's really remarkable, like what can happen when you surround yourself with people who pull you.
Yeah. They always say you're the average of the 5 people you're hanging out
Yes.
with. And like you said, in terms of like, don't be the smartest person in the room, I feel like people should be the bravest person in the room instead.
Mhm.
Because if you're the bravest person, like think about like how you're showing up for yourself is also inspiring others to be braver.
Yes.
And so you just don't know what's going on inside of them. So really, to your point, like we can continue to have that iron sharpens iron perspective.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And I get like when you're around other people who are movers and shakers and accomplishing things, it's really easy to get imposter syndrome setting in. Do you agree? Like it's like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? And again, this is just where we get to have repeat safe exposure for our nervous system and be like, okay, so I'm going to go in this room and I'm going to prove to myself that I didn't die, that people actually talk to me, that I'm not an idiot. And I proved to myself that I could do it. And then the next time that I go in, I'm going to feel a little bit more confident. And then the next time I'm going to put myself into an even like bigger space and allow myself to slowly, gradually work into that so that my nervous system isn't freaking out when I'm putting myself into these bold places and allowing myself to continue to grow.
Yeah. And I think there's some value in terms of normalizing that. And then also just accepting instead of like being afraid, because we all have like the fear of failure, fear of rejection, and all these things.
Yeah.
But kind of just reframe that for yourself. It's like, oh my gosh, like I'm actually being invited to be in these spaces. And, you know, like the other side is like, if you feel like you kind of failed or you tripped over yourself or anything like that, like, don't be afraid to try it again. And
Yes.
if this is not the room for you, find a different room. It's okay. Like, again, like that fear of loss, you can walk away, you can start over. Just really, for me, like you won't fail unless you actually give up. If you
Yes.
give up, just make sure you have something else that you feel more called to do, because you kind of continue to build that momentum for yourself.
100%. And something that you said too, I wanted to acknowledge is that you said we're all afraid. We're all afraid of failure. We're all afraid of this and that. And that is so true. Like even the most, put together confident person that you see in a room is still nervous. They're just maybe not showing it the way that you feel inside, right? We compare our, back door to everybody else's front door. And the difference is that we're all afraid. But the people who are showing up are the people who tell themselves, I can handle it. I'm afraid and I can handle it. And I think that at the very root, the anatomy of fear is the fear that we won't be able to handle it. And so the more that you can show yourself, okay, yes, you were scared, but you could handle it. You're not ever going to say that I'm never scared again. It's literally proving to yourself that you can handle it and recognizing that everybody else is scared too.
Well, almost everybody. You actually should be mindful of people that are not scared, because there's something else going on in their filter in their brain, right? And so everyone is scared that are normal. So if you're normal, it's okay.
I love that. Okay, so Diane, I think that you've done such a beautiful job of building a successful business and relationship with your clients and your team. And I would love to just tap into you as a success mentor for a second and tell us a few of your favorite maybe habits or routines that you have that have really contributed to your success.
Um, Honestly, like it's the discipline in terms of like having my bookends. Because I feel like, like your success for the next day is based on like the previous day and planning and having like actually telling yourself that, hey, I'm committing to this goal, I'm committing to myself. So just having bedtime routines in terms of like journaling or all of the meditations, no lights, no blue lights and stuff like that. And then the next day, just like making sure you give yourself time for yourself rather than just pick up your phone and then talk about like emails or social media right away. There's time and space for that, but give yourself that kind of like getting the creative inspirations to flow through you. The
Yeah.
other thing that I just started to do randomly is like taking a cold rinse, even though we're in Minnesota and it's so cold already.
Yeah.
I just take like a minute or two under like super cold shower, and that wakes me up right away and just kind of reminds myself I can do hard things, just
Yes.
little things like that.
Yes, I mean, and that is such a huge, point that you just made. Is the reason that people do the cold plunges and the cold showers is to put yourself into an uncomfortable position and prove to yourself that you can do it. And again, the more that you can prove to yourself, the more that you can give yourself evidence that you can handle hard things, the more your nervous system starts to adjust, the greater capacity that you have to build the life and the business that you want, because all of these things require stretching of our internal safety and our comfort zone and all the things that's amazing. I love that. Is there anything else that you feel would be super helpful to our listeners who are wanting to continue to spiral up instead of, letting life and business get the best of them and have them spiral down? What would you love to share?
Do one thing for you now, because I feel like we can plan all day. We can listen to podcasts like these all day. But if you're actually not taking the implementation that we talked
Yes.
about and take action,
Yeah.
like it's going to continue to build up. So build your momentum, start with a little step and like celebrate that success along the way.
Yes. Okay. So if you were to give somebody some advice to take one step today, what would that be?
I would say to reach out to one person, right? Like whatever industry that is, whether to just do market research, have a coffee chat to catch up, or to see if they might be a client. So just little things like that, like reach out to people because relationships really build the business also.
Oh my gosh, there's so much into that, you guys. So money comes the energy of money comes from people. And I think that so oftentimes this is something that I want to acknowledge for those of you guys who are listening who get stuck in these mindsets, that we convince ourselves that we need to stay busy in order to avoid having conversations that would possibly create an opportunity for rejection. And those community relationship building activities are the things, the income producing activities that are going to get you into the right conversations for the right sales. But so oftentimes people are like, oh, I'm going to avoid reaching out to that person. And instead I'm going to create this email, or I'm going to create this social media post, or I'm going to reorganize my Google Drive,
Again,
do all the things, right? And I'm not saying that those things aren't important, but what I'm saying is that remember that the thing that you're probably avoiding is the thing that's going to take you to the next level. And building relationships with real people who are going to be perhaps the best client you've ever had or the best connector you've ever met are one conversation away. And so I'm so grateful that I've gotten a chance to meet Dianne. She and I, like, we discovered that we were only within a couple hours from each other, and it's just so fun, you guys, to build these relationships and knowing that there's people in the world that are here to support you and help you level up and help you spiral up. And Dianne, I'm so glad that I've gotten a chance to be in your world, and I'm so grateful that you were able to share your story with us today. So thank you. You guys, I hope that this helped. And if there's any part of this conversation you're really drawn to, I want to make sure that you go to the show notes and find ways to follow and connect with Dianne and all of her amazing tech stuff. I mean, she's definitely somebody that I have in my back pocket for my clients to make sure that they have the tech resources that they need. And if you feel like there is perhaps some underlying beliefs that have been looping in your mind when you've been hearing me talk today, that you feel like, I wonder if there's like some puppet strings behind the scenes that are preventing me from taking action, go ahead and reserve some time on my calendar in one of those Align and Growth calls. I would love to be able to pinpoint exactly what's been holding you back and what you can do about it. So we'll make sure that we get you on the right track. And Dianne and I are both about getting rid of those butts, right? So, all right, you guys, I hope that you have a great day, and I will see you next week. Bye, everybody.
So much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Each honest review helps me spiral up so that I can serve you even better. Whether you're feeling a lack of impact, income, or time freedom, or perhaps you're just ready for massive momentum in your business, let's chat. Apply for a breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity, identify what's holding you back, and make a plan to spiral up. Head on over to im-lifebydesign.com/breakthrough or access the link in the show notes. For immediate support, log into our community, the Better Club. We focus on inspiration, tactical guidance, and support. This is a community that wants to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business, and we're going to help you do the same. Let's spiral up, friends.